Hello and welcome to the Brother Slam. This is Cam, and we're here for two Enormity updates. One small from a few weeks back, and one big from yesterday. So let's jump right in. Feels good to be able to do these again after a hectic couple of months, but we back. Okay, so update number 26. Split payment for Enormity now available via GameFlight. Hi Spacers, you've been asking for it patiently, consistently, and in large numbers, and now it's here. Our custom-built split payment system, FlightPlan, has officially launched on GameFlight today. Fun name for it. From now on, if you'd rather not settle your entire pledge at once, you don't have to. Whether you're managing a bigger order, waiting for the right time, or simply prefer more control over how and when you pay, FlightPlan is built to make the process easier and smoother. That is really interesting. Frankly, I was more expecting just a installments kind of thing, just like GameFound or even what Kickstarter and BackupKit have now too. But that is very interesting. I haven't actually looked into it yet, so I don't know how well this hype statement stands up to actual use, but being able to like change when you pay, not just in installments, is very interesting indeed. This little graphic is a lot of fun too, so it's a image from Enormity with a bunch of GameFlight stuff put on the monitors, just a fun little touch. The checkout should feel familiar. You add items to your cart, just like always, review your order, and move on to payment. This is where you'll see a new option, FlightPlan. When selected, you'll be prompted to accept the payment terms and pay the first installment using your credit card. This kicks off an automatic installment plan through Stripe, one that's directly linked to your GameFlight account. You'll be able to view it in your profile, see how many payment installments are left, and track what exactly is coming next. Okay. If things change on your end, you'll be able to pay off the remaining balance at any time. Of course, early repayment is entirely optional but fully available. Okay. Platform upgrades. While launching FlightPlan, we took the opportunity to push through several long-awaited updates to the platform itself. You can now read Kickstarter-style project updates directly on the platform. Everything is right there where your pledge lives. We're also already working on a new wave of community tools, starting with comments under updates. We want to give you a place to freely ask questions and respond to news. This feature isn't live yet, but development is underway and moving fast. More on that soon. That's cool. I'll be curious how much that's actually used. Just like I feel it's so common for any crowdfunding campaign for the backers to live where the campaign was rather than the pledge manager was, but still cool. I'm also kind of curious if they're going to try to crowdfund on their own. That would be interesting. Be very interesting. we'll see when the next projects are announced and stuff. But yeah, that's it's interesting how much they're putting into this. Okay, smarter support. Behind the scenes, we've also made a few important changes to how our customer support team can assist you. GameFlight now provides a native refund handling. This means our staff can now resolve most refund-related requests directly without needing third-party processing or long delays. If you ever need to adjust your pledge or fix a bill issue, resolving all these problems will now be faster and simpler than before. Well, I mean, that's good because I feel like this kind of sounds like the bare minimum of what it should be. Don't worry about your addresses. Okay, so there's still issues with the forms. Rest assured, before shipping, we'll review the process. Okay, so this has been something that's been going on since the thing was made, so they're still working through issues with it, and like that's to be expected. Making the pledge manager is no small feat, and it's cool that they're like dedicated to making changes and updates. So that's good. This is old, so we're just going to skip past it. It's basically just that get in touch with them about Kingdom Saloon and stuff. Okay, so let's go to the next update, which is from yesterday, being July 10th. Update 27. Hollowed, Snatcher, Renders, Preacher Rework, Production Updates, TTS, and more. Welcome back, Spacers. Today's update is packed not only with answers, but with warnings too. A glimpse into what's coming next. New dice, new dangers, new decisions. Miniatures are mutating. Bosses are waking up, systems are converging, and for the first time, you'll step into Black Kompromat in TTS in 1 week. Oh, that's really soon. And yes, the ship structure is changing too. What was separate is now merging. So suit up. You'll need every edge you can get. Okay, well, I scanned some of the pictures in this update yesterday, and they were freaking cool. I didn't read any of this, and this is really exciting. Cool stuff. This image we've seen before goes pretty hard. This thing specifically actually shows up in a lot of art, but I think there's some art of this location minus the Snatcher, and so I wonder if this locale is kind of like the Snatcher's boss arena that you can also explore without him being there, or it being there, whatever you want to gender it as. Integration has begun. All stretch goals move to Wave 1. That's awesome. Enormity doesn't want to be played in pieces. It wants to be whole, not modular, not fragment. Modular is like a huge stick of the game itself from the campaign, if I recall correctly. Not fragmented, whole. That's why we've made a choice, one that will change the final product you receive, when you receive it, and how the game feels the moment you open the box. When you receive it, I'm assuming there's going to be a delay. All stretch goals are being included in Wave 1. No second wave waiting. No split between what's core and what's extra. Wave 2 still includes expansion, though, with new mechanics, campaign, and intruders. Because the more we built, the more obvious it became. These weren't add-ons. They were part of the spine. The voice in your comms you didn't realize. They belonged here from the start. Okay. We want the suit on your miniature to match the suit on your card. We want new characters to step onto the shepherd with proper weight and consequence. We want exploration to feel boundless, not patched together. So we're doing the work. Tightening integrations, rewriting pieces that didn't pass concept testing, and reworking them until they do. The result? A game that doesn't feel like it's been expanded. It feels like it was always meant to be this way. That sounds like the right move to me. Here's what's now part of the core game. Fully integrated, narratively aligned, and mechanically tuned. Suits, small suit, first contact, black hole, NI1 new sphere interface, knucklebuster, contraband, the visionary. Yeah, okay, so I see why this is done, because a bunch of this stuff is to do with the base game. So, like, why would you not have these things in the base game? Feel like, I mean, that probably should have been the case from the beginning, but I'm glad that it's the case now. Characters, the rejected, the professional, the prodigy. Characters, I think, are not necessarily individuals, but types with different abilities, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. Locations, Atama Shed, the Needle, Solar Array Annex, and Shrine of Gura. I think these are all tied, or the first three are definitely tied to like the 3 base campaigns, so that's good. Shrine of Gura, I don't know actually. I think it was to do with the Goat Men or something, which is an expansion one, but that's still cool. Background story chains. Message from home, strange signs. Message from home, stolen life. Second, messages from home. These are things that tie into your character's background, which you discover throughout play, if I remember correctly. Enemies and bosses. So Snatcher, Torched, David's, Variant Intruder, Boss Power-Up Pack, Mothman, Iridescent Angel, which might be tied into the extra miniature that you get from him. Yeah, so same thing. Once again, these are all to do with things that are in the base game, or tied into it at least. So really glad that that is the case, that that's going to be in the base game. Armories and specializations. Noose Armory, SNASF Armory, Endymion Armory, Lunite Armory, Legacy Specnaz, Combat Body Engineer, and Cryptozoologist. Very cool. Other content, Double Loot Divider, Robodog Support Gear, Void Breath, Antinomy, Counterflow Conduit. All of it together in one place, Wave 1. And if you're wondering, yes, we're still pushing forward. All 4 campaigns, I thought it was 3, are being developed simultaneously. The design phase for all 6 bosses is complete. They're already in active testing, and the results are more than promising. They're lethal, dynamic, and in some cases, weird in exactly the right way. Because if we're going to take you aboard the Shepherd, we want you to see all of it. Not just the corridors, not just the light, everything. Cool, very cool. I kind of thought that all these things were going to be in Wave 1 to begin with, but I clearly am wrong on that, and I'm glad that that is the case now again. Okay. Core Game Menagerie. You've seen the spacers, you've read the suit specs, you've explored some of the Shepherd, but today we're turning the spotlight on your enemies, the figures that talk to you in the dark, test your tactics, and unravel your insanity. These are the latest results from our sculpting team, fully rendered models of the Core Game Menagerie. Each mini tells its own twisted story, not just through mechanics, but through form, and they don't want you to survive. Here's just a glimpse of what awaits. So the menagerie are all of the unique specimens, basically. Martyr, a special torched. Both art and mini look fantastic. Incandescent Zealot, also torched. Super cool, love it. You have to be a good painter to pull this off looking good, but it looks really cool, even in just the sculpt, so that's great. Wisp torched, very creepy. Ceiling Scuttler Grin. Oh, that smile is horrific. Very cool. Long legs with a little teeny tiny neck mouth. Disgusting. Cackling Starfish. Also horrific. Barker. So like a dog. Nasty. Mouther. Legionary of the Grim Praetorian. It's got like a finger blade almost. Looks pretty sweet. Mimic we've seen before. Very creepy, very cool. Fingerfin, also we've seen. Very cool, very creepy. Doublehead, I think we might have seen that one too. Emissary for Atama, so lots of fungus and stuff. I feel like the sculpt looks cooler than the mini does in this case. No, sorry, the art looks cooler than the sculpt does. Security units. Once again, art goes really hard. You'd have to be able to do the highlights to make it look that cool, but still neat. Oh, interesting. The display thing on the helmet's different too. Yeah, I think this art looks... The art for these ones look better in my opinion. Overgrown one. Cool. Yep, those look sweet. Grim Philosopher for the Davids. Love it. I do feel like the art is a little bit better again, but still, that's really, really cool. The Davids are one of my favorite things that was unlocked for sure. Goliath. Fawn. This one's... I kind of wish it was like a little bit more human looking instead of fawn-like, but then it wouldn't be fawn, so that's fair. Weird kind of like techie stone tipped spear. Undead S3 Hunter. Chonky beast mode. Looks pretty sweet. Undead S3 Mound. Creepy as heck with its chainsaw rifle thing. Gross. Jester. Cute and creepy. Smiley. That art is terrifying. This is too, but again, I think the art is a little bit more evocative. Skinner. Ooh, the little things dangling from the skull mouth are really creepy. That's cool. By the way, the Hollowed are part of the menagerie too, but they're getting their own spotlight in this update, so we meet them a little further down. 3 dice to rule them all. In Enormity, dice aren't just randomizers, they're tools. Tactical instruments that shape your turns. Define your tempo, reflect your play style. And with 3 new dice types entering the system, these tools just got sharper, or stranger. Nuclear die. Unstable, potent, extremely efficient if you can survive long enough to be able to use it. The nuclear die introduces a new use for nuclear tokens, transforming how they interact with your rolls. On any other die, the nuclear tokens allow a reroll, after which it may be spent to fill 1 potential. On a nuclear die, the process is reversed and accelerated. Tokens immediately fill a potential upon use and still grant a reroll. The outcome, a tighter feedback loop between damage, recovery, and raw output. It rewards fast, aggressive play and punishes hesitation. As a bonus, the nuclear die also has an increased chance to trigger critical hits. The payoff is massive. The risk is real, and not just yours. Enemies can use it too. Handle with care, or don't handle at all. That's fun. Blue die. Sometimes a run isn't just about survival, it's about what you bring back with you. The blue die uses a traditional 1-to-6 scale, but its results appear across various systems. Most prominently, it determines how many additional resources you've scrounged from defeated enemies during your extraction runs. Okay. It's also used in randomized tables, event rolls, and specific narrative triggers, acting as a general-purpose economy die. Simple in form, but essential to long-term success. Don't underestimate it. Gray die. Reliable, efficient, cold. The gray die offers a high advantage power output with minimum space for token investment. That makes it perfect for consistent performance, especially in builds where every point of power matters more than flashy effects. But there's a trade-off. There's no red quadrants. The gray die cannot trigger critical hits under any circumstances. What you get is what you plan for. No surprises, no miracles. It's a subtle die not for showy players, but for those who like clean math, calculated risks, and knowing exactly what comes next. And while it might not land explosive crits, its steady power output makes it surprisingly lethal against enemies, especially those where reliability trumps volatility. Because sometimes precision kills faster than luck ever could. 4 ticks and 3 with potentials, and 3, yeah, that's a good looking die. So here's an example of like general tiers. So if I remember, white's the most basic, then red, then black, and then this one kind of the all-purpose, nuclear, and just the generalist one. Cool. The preacher grows and his followers multiply. Remember the preacher? We showed you a glimpse of him a while back. Since then, he's evolved. I think this was a quick sketch of the work in progress art. Yeah, you've seen the work in progress art, but now we reworked his miniature as well. Not just to match his scale, but to reflect the growing influence he exerts over factions aboard the Shepherd. He's taller now, broader, stranger, a towering figure of dread and reverence. And each of the game's mechanical factions has given him a gift, not a truce, not an offering, a declaration. From the Itamas, a scepter forged from servo bone and magnetic rods, a ceremonial weapon symbolizing their trust in the fungal prophet. I assume that is it there. From the Undead, a mantle sewn from the skin of the unworthy, a grotesque sign of submission, branding the preacher as their chosen leader. Creepy. From the Davids, an oil painting, pristine and deliberate, and a holy image, not of the preacher himself, but of their right to venerate him above all others. That'll be the painting there. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I really like what they did with this. Again, before, there's nothing wrong with this one, but it was just not as inspired, for lack of better words. And this looks super unique and really cool. And again, it's just kind of a testament of when you back a game from ITU, they basically improve upon every single thing that you see during the campaign page, and it looks so much cooler by the end result. All of his elements have been incorporated into his visual design. Following recent tests, the preacher is undergoing a round of balance changes to make him just deadly enough. In Enormity, deadliness isn't a bug, it's a feature. His interference cards are being reworked as well, to offer more variety, more psychological pressure, and more reasons for players to doubt their own motives. The result? A boss encounter where obedience isn't optional, it's inevitable. You may not agree with the preacher, but by the end of the fight, you'll understand why everyone follows him, and maybe you will too. Interesting. Last sip of coffee here. The Hollowed. Gravitational hostiles detected. They walk like people, but they are not people. They were once something like you, spacers. Maybe something older, colder, and vastly more powerful. Until something older, colder, and vastly more powerful reached across the veil and rewrote them. Now they serve the Slender, though the word serve feels inaccurate. The Slender is merely a conduit, a manifestation of void-born intelligence that doesn't speak, doesn't command, doesn't care. It pulls, it reshapes, leaves everything behind, like beings like the Hollowed, loose-jawed, flesh-dripping silhouettes with something utterly alien pulsing within them, something that bends light, swallows sound, and exerts a pressure you can feel in your teeth. Worm Hollowed. Ooh. I kind of wish we got to see its back end in the skull, but oh, that art is creepy. It's a really good body horror, for sure. And like subdued body horror too, because it's all in the suit. I really like that. It's terrifying. They don't stalk like hunters, and they don't scream like monsters. They interfere with your plans. Bodies of the Hollowed radiate gravitational anomalies. Every movement they make is either a pull or a pause. They drag you toward them, reduce your speed, cut off exits, force missteps. Sometimes they spit out pieces of what they've absorbed. Scraps of metal, limb fragments, memories made solid and weaponized. Scouts' tests against them are more difficult. The void within them distorts even your most advanced tracking gear. You never quite know where they are until you are already too close. Cosmonaut Hollowed. When a Hollowed dies, it doesn't fall, it folds. This one we've seen before, really creepy. I thought this was the Slender actually originally. A sudden implosion drags all nearby space, towards its collapsing core. That's not a dramatic effect, but a tactical move. You can't afford to ignore it. Neither can you ignore the burden condition they apply, a creeping gravitational effect that forces a terrible choice. Move less or risk alerting the entire sector. On higher levels, burden becomes fatal. If a spacer already has a burden condition and receives it again, they die instantly. Creepy. Bloater Hollowed. This one and that worm one are probably my favorites. Like, just a whirling vortex of teeth. It's like a tooth tornado in a spacesuit. It's horrific. But for all their danger, there is temptation, because the Hollowed are not just void, they're walking singularities with fragmented gear and corrupted loot still intact inside. Kill them with precision, and you'll be rewarded with rare drops from the loot deck. It's a risk. But sometimes the reward is more than worth it, especially when you need every edge you can get. The Hollowed are not meant to be fought. They're meant to slow you down, twist your path, and keep you from reaching your goals, like extraction points. In a campaign like Black Kompromat, where extraction, not combat, is a real objective, that makes them much more than a regular threat. Super cool. Yep, all these are creepy as heck. I commented actually on this update when I looked at it briefly yesterday. I think it's so sweet that unique specimens are part of the game, but on the whole feel like a small part. And ITU's gone so hard in giving them these unique sculpts, which are not part of the base game, like they're an add-on, and also the unique art too. So big props. Super cool to go like so full in on such like comparatively smaller part of the game, I would say. Okay, the Hunter's Code. Some creatures are born to adapt. Others are built to endure, but the Snatcher, he's something else entirely. Now it is a he. A shape without origin, a will without master, an answer to a question no one dared to ask. No one knows where he comes from, but we do know this. The moment Snatcher appears aboard the Shepherd, the ecosystem changed. Silence grew heavier. Even the intruders grew restless. The Snatcher is not part of the ship. He is a disruption, an anomaly. A hunter that crossed parsecs of ruin to find something worthy of evolution. And it seems he chose us. You might think that's flattering. It's not. The Snatcher doesn't get faster because time passes. He gets faster because you're still alive. While most enemies in Enormity escalate the usual way, you hit, they get stronger, Snatcher breaks the mold. He can strike twice per activation, and his AI cards are wired with keywords that make him even more elusive. His attacks mutate on the fly and are shaped by the surroundings. You're not wearing him down, you're making him evolve. I mean, this is all cool and all. This specific part is very reminiscent to one of the Cycle 3 primordials in ATO, but the other stuff will be unique for sure. And then there's the arena. The fight takes place in the Xeno Museum of Natural History, a vault of preserved alien biology, forgotten apexes, and weaponized DNA samples. For the Snatcher, it's a whole buffet. Each corpse on the ground, each shattered tank or archived creature provides him with more tools, more tactics, and more triggers. After most of his attacks, he absorbs traces of nearby genetic material to trigger secondary effects. Additional stress, forced repositioning, or the sudden unlocking of new behaviors. Mechanically, Snatcher's targeting prioritizes the weakest of the bunch, the lowest vitals, the most exposed, the broken. He's not cruel, he's efficient. If your team isn't ready to push back, he will outpace you every time. Cool, that sounds fun. Worse still, the Snatcher isn't a boss locked to one campaign. He's a wanderer. Optional, yes, but never truly gone. Each core campaign features a unique encounter with him, and his story reaches its climax in 3 Laws of Heresy, where the Snatcher's presence is fully integrated into the narrative arc through a dedicated side quest chain, culminating in a boss fight that can impact the main storyline in subtle but lasting ways. And what happens if he kills you? This sounds freaking sweet. That sounds so cool. Here for it, for sure. And what if he kills you? He doesn't just strike, he samples, and some of those samples stay with him. In future encounters, he may remember your nihilism, your build, your final decisions, and he may punish you for them. So ITU through ATO and Sins of Heracles have been really going hard on like OG Mass Effect style things that you've done will come back in different ways, and this just feels like a continuation of that. And yes, we are experimenting with a very special suit inspired by him, one that allows you to harvest genetic samples from fallen enemies and modify your own spacer cards. It's still in early testing, but it's already mutating into something very interesting. I don't know if this is something that was mentioned during the campaign or not, so it might just be something that they came up with and are rolling with as part of the base game, which is cool. Again, ITU goes so hard during their developmental cycle, because it's not just pushing towards fulfillment. ITU is one of the companies that it's not just a pre-order for the game, it literally is a dev cycle that they use the funding for, so love how they work. If the ship ever goes quiet, too quiet, and you feel something watching you from the displays in the museum sector, it's not the cameras, it's him. Okay, this was hinted at earlier in the update, delayed but for good reason. We know many of you have been watching the timeline closely, and yes, Enormity is running a little behind schedule, not by much, but enough that it deserves a moment of clear communication. I'm going to read this and then share my thoughts, rather than just jumping to what I think. The truth is, the world hasn't exactly made it easy to design, plan, or manufacture anything lately. Fact, global logistics are strained, supply chains bend in unpredictable directions, and production slots get tighter by the month. Currently, we're also dealing with a lot of uncertainty around the US-China trade relations. Until August 31st, no one really knows what tariffs will actually be. That means we cannot lock in certain key production steps just yet. Therefore, we've had to push the release date to Q1 2026, not because we wanted to, but because the landscape forced our hand. Delayed by uncertain times might sound like a cliche, but here, it's just honest. And for that delay, we're genuinely sorry. You've supported us, trusted us, and believed in what we're building. We don't take that for granted. We never will. But that's not the whole story. We've also been using this moment to pull forward some of the work originally planned for Wave 2. As you know, stretch goals that were once part of the later delivery are now being implemented into the core game. Why? Because the game feels incomplete without them, and because we're going to ask you to wait. We will make sure the wait is worth it. At ITU, we're picky. We always have been. And Enormity is another massive project, an ecosystem of mechanics, miniatures, and narrative layers that we want not to feel finished, but fully alive. When a mechanic doesn't land the way it should, we throw it away. When a narrative beat feels forced, we rewrite it. We're chasing a standard, our own standard, and we intend to meet it. Yep, ITU standard is frickin' above and beyond, like, to the frickin' nines and everything they do. Huge support of that. I did feel when they, like, I don't even think tariffs were a thing when this campaign was going on, but when they announced, like, their estimated timeline, it was extremely aggressive. And like on one hand, all the power to them for having an aggressive timeline. On the second, every single project of theirs has been delayed, and often that's for valid reasons, and often it comes down to making the game just even better or COVID and all that kind of stuff. But it just kind of felt like an arbitrary date to get it out as soon as possible, rather than like a actual reasonable date, especially given how much content's actually in the campaign. So like, I feel like a delay was inevitable. Obviously, tariffs and such are a super valid reason, but regardless, it was such an audacious date to try to reach for Q4 this year that like, I would be surprised if they're able to make Q1 of 2026. Amazing if so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back further. And again, nothing wrong with that. Like 10 out of 10 times, take the time you need to make the game that you want to make rather than rushing to get it out. Okay, Black Kompromat awaits. And also, I mean, freaking hell, for ITU games, they're so freaking massive. Like, they're huge. And I know that people have finished ATO and all 5 cycles of it with the expansions, but then there's also going to be Heracles coming out and stuff too. So there's so much game from these guys, let alone everything else that's on everyone's shelves too. That's my opinion. Some people have a lot more time to game though, of course. Black Kompromat awaits, and you'll get to play very soon. TTS July 17th. We've been talking a lot about Black Kompromat, about its enemies, its paranoia, its silence, and now it's almost your turn to experience it. On July 17th, the first full scenario from the Black Kompromat campaign will go live on Tabletop Simulator. It's a chance to feel the pressure, hear the silence, and taste the paranoia that will define the next stage of your journey. Once you finish the Dark Side of the Sun demo, you can jump straight into Black Kompromat, where the atmosphere shifts, the enemies grow stranger, and the horror becomes more personal. You've survived radiation, now you'll face memory fractures, you fought monsters, now you'll question who gave you orders. I really hope I've got time to do this. That would be freaking awesome. I just don't know if I will. Next week. Yeah, I don't know if I'll have time next week or not, but I really want to, because it would be fun. The tricky thing is, I've forgotten all the rules, and so I don't know how good of a playthrough it would be, because I definitely don't have the time to reread through everything again. So I would really like to play this. We'll see if I have time, because it would be fun to stream, or maybe even live stream, although I don't know if my computer can handle that. Let's see. And yes, when it comes time, the TTS mod will include more than just a map and a mission. You'll get full access to the full narrative scenario that introduces the main themes of the campaign. It's one thing to read and another to experience the game firsthand. Moreover, you'll get a glimpse into the suits that define the early stages of Black Kompromat. Contraband Combat S1 suit, built for aggression, the suit floods you with tokens, expanding your tactical options for each turn. Its scout range is higher than most starting suits, and it's one of the few that can boost its scout dice early in the game. Moth suits, one of a kind drop from the Mothman himself. The suit is engineered for mobility and low profile maneuvers. Slightly quieter than other suits, it's a favorite for players who value positional control over brute force. First contact suits, it won't win you any duels, but its diagonal movement opens new paths and new possibilities, built to carry you through those fragile early moments of a run before your spacer is ready to counterattack. Standard EVA suits, basic, functional, unremarkable. Cool. We do want to be transparent. Some assets in the mod will still be in prototype form. Certain models, tokens, and UI components are placeholders or early drafts. That is intentional. Suits and interface elements are often among the last components finalized during development. We didn't want to hold back gameplay just because the visuals aren't polished yet. Also, alongside the TTS mod, we'll be providing you with updated rules. Things have changed since the demo last year, and we want you to be able to try Enormity the way we currently envision it. So mark your calendars, July 17th. The silence gets louder. The Kompromat begins. Oh, and updated rules too. I'm going to try to do this. I can't promise anything, but I would really like to. It would be fun to do it. Probably as a video, because then I can have long, awkward pauses when I'm trying to figure things out rather than live stream. And then I can edit them out and such. Weird ideas. We love them. We've received a flood of discovery submissions since we opened the gates a while back, and honestly, they're fantastic. Twisted, clever, unsettling in just the right ways. You've clearly been paying attention. Cash, our Enormity narrative lead, is now diving into them. Some made us laugh, some made us uncomfortable. We've read all of them. If your idea fits the tone of the ship, strange, layered, memorable, we'll be reaching out via email. Some discoveries may appear almost untouched. Others might be reworked, split, or woven into larger arcs. Either way, your fingerprints are now part of the Shepherd. Keep watching the walls. Some of you might recognize what's written on them. Fun stuff. That's really, really cool. I wanted to submit something and I completely forgot. So alas. That's everything for today, Spacers. Don't forget to head over to our Pledge Manager if you haven't finalized your order yet. And if you haven't already, join us on Discord. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for reading, testing, questioning, and building this with us. And if you've made it this far, well, you know it's too late to turn back. The Shepherd sees you, and it's not done dreaming yet. This was, hands down, I think my favorite update post-campaign for Enormity. covered so many unreal things. Yes, there's delays and such. So that's, again, for me, that was to be expected. But goddamn, that was an exciting one. Lots of really, really cool things. So thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a long one since we did 2 updates, and this one was super long. But much love, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.